I have seen how my dad has been. I don't think men are. And whose responsibility now is that? It's the mother's responsibility to explain to her daughter the situation, but also pray with her, because they end up making extreme decisions, where you find she will choose to either have a child without a father, because after all, living with men is that tiresome. Or they end up saying, let me have fun. I'm not interested at all in having a family. But remember, they also have friends. And so they connect with our friends whom we are either relating with or we are married to. In case of a situation that is not so clear between you and your wife, and she's speaking to somebody who is not married, somebody who has got that experience, somehow we don't even know how to give guidance, somehow we don't even know how to listen to people who are going through tough times. We usually want to fix situations, and what normally comes out is, that's why I didn't get married.
Wow.
So be watchful. Be watchful. So in my view,
yes.
Father, mother, be careful when you're communicating. It doesn't mean that the Uganda calls bunkenke. No. But be keen, be intentional in these conversations. And if they have not been going really well, it is time to learn. You have about now 38 or 37 days remaining to go, at least when your children are there. Readjust. And men, don't be fixed. Don't say, this is me. The thing is that no man is an island. The beauty is that and even an island lives in the middle of water. So what surrounds you is going to determine how you're going to behave.
He was talking about the under-16 tournament that you guys played in, obviously coming off a loss to Mali, then rallying up and going for the later stages. If you're to compare, Ugandan basketball with, let's say, basketball from Egypt, basketball from Mali, where would you rate Uganda?
Compared to Mali and Egypt, I think we're not at their level yet, but I know we can be, because their preparation is very thorough, and they really do invest in the youth basketball and take their time to nurture the teams that are coming for the tournament. So in that area we're lacking, because we have the talent, but the preparation for the tournaments is what needs to be worked on.
So we basically have the skill and the talent.
Yeah.
We just need to prepare better. Interesting.
How did you, as a child, if you visibly remember, what did you want to be in life?
Well, if I go back, I think I looked at two things as a child. I thought about, I looked up to the skies and I'd see the stars and, see the airplanes flying over. And as I was there, with my dad, looking after the cows, or with my grandma going fishing, or with my grandpa farming, I'd look up and go, wow, what are those things up there? And then someone told me, that's a space station. I go, okay, interesting. And what else is up there? Well, those are stars, and those are airplanes. I thought, well, it would be great, to figure out how those things work. Yeah. And so I guess that was one interesting, passion of mine as a little kid, figuring out how aerospace vehicles work. And I guess that wasn't, something which excited me a lot.
Wow. You said the two things. So how did you end up there? You were fishing with your grandmother, you mentioned, and farming with your father, and grazing with your grandfather. Why were you not able to pick one of these from these, three different distinct people, and then you ended up in the things that are up in the sky with all this interest? what was the motivation like? Was somebody an aerospace engineer? Was somebody thinking about the things up, or it just came to you?
It's, you know, back then, we didn't have Wi-Fi. We didn't have mobile phones. We didn't even have phones, you know, or television. We just had nature, and that was great, you know. And we had stories around the campfire, around you know, around the hearth every evening. We'd sit down and talk to each other. You know, we lived quite close to national parks, so every now and again a lion would hop over and, you know, grab a cow and go and have supper as well. So we shared with the lion. So it was being at one with nature. But what was important in all that was, you know, allowing one's mind to imagine, allowing one's mind to run, to fly, to really go as far as one's mind could possibly go. And if I think of looking at things from the space going down, I could still look down and figure out what's going on, you know, on the fishing side. I could look at what's going on the farming side. I could look at what's going on the grazing side, because when you're up there, you can see everything. But it also helps you appreciate how special the earth is. And yeah, so I'm most grateful for that natural environment that any kid in a rural village in Uganda or any other part of Africa right now has, that where you see every star. And I believe there is something special about that.
You have to know each equipment. You have to know the brew ratio. Actually, the brew ratio is, I think, the most important. Brew ratio now most people may not understand. It is the ratio of the coffee powder to water, and the yield. Water in this article will bring us into the yield. If I put 10 grams of coffee into my portafilter, how much of it am I? Exactly. So if you don't master the brew ratio, oh, everything is going to turn out a mess. You understand? Even if you know that knowledge and you don't master the brew ratio.
Welcome to the Family Talk Show. My name is Eddie Okello on this very wonderful day of the African weather, of the African climate, of the African, wind and oxygen. In Africa, we don't run out of oxygen. It's not there. I mean, the guys in Europe are running out of oxygen, but in Africa, we have trees. We interact with the environment. So in our families, we sit under trees, right? And in our villages, we sit under trees and we enjoy. That's how we be. That's how our life is. But you know what? Welcome to the Family Talk Show. My name is Eddie Okello, and I will be joined by a friend of mine, Sylvain, as well as Pastor Joshua Martin Mugabe, who is a resident panelist on the Family Talk Show. Mr. Hassan Sekajolo is recovering from his injury. That is why you have not been able to see Hassan on the show for a very long time. But we're looking forward to receiving Hassan back on the show in the next couple of days. Hey, Sylvain, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Eddie, and glad to be here.
Yes, and people must be wondering, why are we not seeing Pastor Joshua Martin Mugabe? He went to send people to the Lord, and as a pastor, he was praying for a family that had lost somebody, and he was helping them send their loved ones. And so we hope Pastor will be joining us online in just a few. And if not, we'll definitely be seeing Pastor next week. But hey, Sylvain is here and I'm here, and today we're going to be discussing still on the series of lessons learned from our fathers. And that discussion is key, and that discussion is very important for us right now. We are talking about lessons now learned, Sylvain, from the coronavirus situation. Children are back home. The schools closed down. Last week on Sunday, the President of the Republic of Uganda, on the advice of the technical people handling coronavirus, advised the President to call for a lockdown, a 42-day lockdown, and schools were closed down and they were sent back home. Now, in this topic that we are having right now, which is lesson learned from our fathers, all the kids are back home again for the next 42 days. People are being stressed. What is your take, and what lessons do you think children are going to be learning from their fathers?
Very, very interesting. First of all, parents should embrace the moment.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, these children are home. But that also means that parents should be careful with how they have lived with their children in the past, where they have been regularly at school and being home in holidays. Now they are home on forced holidays. There's something running in the minds of these young ones. There's also something running in the minds of the parents, because you planned 1 week from now my children are going to be at school, and this is what I'm going to be doing, and this is how I'm going to be looking after them, this is how I'm going to be visiting them. This time you're not going to be visiting them. They're going to be home. Number two.
No, you are visiting them from home.
You're with them home. It's
yeah,
not.
You visit them every morning when you go to their bedroom.
You're basically with them home all the time.
Yes.
Two, if you're working, remember the condition under which they have come home is COVID. Their SOPs need to be observed. And if you have not been keen at instructing and guiding, today Watoto Church was talking about guiding and guarding your family.
Yeah.
So if you have not been keen about that, it's time to practice. And you've got to be patient that your children understand that. The third one is modeling. Because, God doesn't do these things haphazardly. For us, we are challenged, we are shocked. They are new things, but to God, they are not really new. He knew that at such a time like this would happen.
Yeah.
And so there are very many things to learn from it. But here's what I have mainly for the parents.
Yeah.
Embrace the moment, interact with your child, correct a number of things that didn't go right, where you felt you didn't have enough time. When you go to work, if you are an office person, when you come back home, engage your children. But because of SOPs also, if there is a possibility of you not going to office, so that you do not get the disease and the virus and then come and infect your own, you choose to stay home, the dynamics are going to change. There's going to be that room which is now going to be like an office,
Yeah.
or a portion of the sitting room which is going to be your office desk. There are going to be many things. You're all going to be learning, by the way, from each other, because children are used probably to you as a parent. When they wake up, they are jumping up and about in the seats. But now, they're going to jump up and about when you're on a Zoom call. You've got to find means of letting them know. But also then, mother or father, lots of things to learn. Here's my take. Listen to your children as much as possible. Utilize this moment to be with them, to listen to them, and listen to all that you would want to call a nonsense as a parent, because the reason you call it nonsense certainly is because you're older.
Yeah.
But to a child at that very moment, it matters.
Yeah.
It matters. And to the child, when you listen to his nonsense, he feels you're for him.
Yeah.
The problem, I think the biggest mistake we make, because we know it is nonsense, we quickly tell the child that's nonsense. And we do not explain, we don't even give the definition of nonsense, we just say nonsense. And the child grows thinking, when I get to 30 to 40, I'll be describing such things.
Everything they told me is nonsense.
Yeah. At this stage, you'll be saying nonsense. At this stage, you'll be saying stupid. At this stage, you'll be saying, no. It's time to get in contact with your family as much as possible. My prayer is that parents listen a lot more than they really talk.
Okay. Well, we are on the Family Talk Show. Eddie Okela, Sylvain Gumisiriza, and of course, Pastor Joshua Mugabe, who is going to be joining us in a few. But we've started a conversation on the lessons learned from our fathers. Last week, we were continuing with a discussion on if your father wasn't there in your life, or if you learned from a later stage that the person you called daddy for a long time was not your father, how do you deal with the emotion coping up? And just while we're still on that, the lockdown came. Imagine you found yourself in such a situation, you yourself still dealing with the situation of your father. And boom, we're in the lockdown. And in the lockdown situation, your children are with you. And you are emotionally completely detached from your children and your family because you're trying to sort out your identity. But there is your son sitting with you now asking you, Daddy, what is coronavirus? What is lockdown? In the first one, they didn't understand for 1 year.
That's true.
And they were very stressed. And I feel sorry because children were very, very stressed. They remained in the lockdown for a very long time. Just when they'd gone back to school, no sooner had they reported than the cases of COVID-19 situation started to rise. And they are back home. Now, children are going with a lot of stress. These people are going to be fathers and mothers tomorrow. What lessons are we learning? Are they learning from their parents right now? If you're a parent and you're at home, we want you to share with us your experience with your children in the first 1 week that they are home. And I want to share with you, mine first of all, Sylvain. So my friend's son is very close to me. So he sent me a message and says, Uncle Eddie, I'm waiting for the president's speech. They broke off from school, from their midterm, sort of like one holiday to come home, and then they told him, hey, you're not going back. So he said he wants to learn boxing, and he's very serious about it. So he predicted everything. He told me, when can we start? Can you tell them to talk to the coach and, find the coach? We start doing this. And while I was still finding the coach for him, getting ready for us to start doing boxing and, planning all this stuff, the next thing I know, the president announced that there's going to be a 42-day lockdown. He's dumbfounded. He doesn't know what to do. He's studying, but he just doesn't feel like an online school is better than what they were doing at school. That's one child. My other nephew called me, my sister's son called me, I think he must have stolen the phone, his mother's phone, to call me. Because he sent me a message. I said, don't tell mommy and daddy I have called using this phone. And said, so uncle, I need you to get me a tablet and some old computer from your office. I said, what do you want to do with the computer? You're too young. What do you want to do? He says, I don't think like for us we're ever going to study again. Because we've just gone back to school. They were teaching us maths. I couldn't do anything. I was confused. I don't know anything. Then the next thing, when I was trying to cope up, they've told us to go back home. So I said, okay, I'm going to look for a tablet for you to do what you're supposed to do. He's asking for an old computer. That's wisdom. Then he goes on to tell me, you see, me and my friend, we want to start learning computers ourselves. Because his dad is always on the computer and does not allow them to touch the computer. He says, the other day, my friend went and touched his dad's computer. He was beaten. The father beat him so bad and told him that he wants to spoil things. Do you know what I'm dealing with? Do you know the situation we're in right now that you want to touch my computer? If you spoil this computer, do you know what I'm going to do? You foolish son. So the boy comes and tells his friend, who is my nephew.
Yeah.
And now they have hatched a plan that, so he comes and says, my uncle is in Kampala, he has a TV. So I want to ask him, and he gives us a very old computer, and we start from there. I felt touched. I'm really going to send them a computer. But the lesson I have learned from there myself is that sometimes when we parents are dealing with something, we forget that kids are at another level of dealing with it. And they, word for word, action for action, step for step, whatever you do, they are following. Sylvain, how do we deal with these lessons these children are picking right now?
The last time I was here, I remember telling you about the child's hard disk.
Yeah.
And telling you how far it goes in my life, like having experience with my family.
Yeah.
Is every child. It is every child. So parents need to be very careful with what they say, how they say it, what context they actually say it. That child, first of all, is not young, and that child is is proactive to think. Now that there is a possibility I may not go back to school, I need to learn computer. The one who is talking about boxing is also proactive, but there's a possibility that they're going to find, and these are the mistakes we make so much, especially because they were made by our parents. And remember I said that we need to forgive our parents because somehow nobody has got a PhD in parenting. Nobody. At any one time you're learning as your children are growing. It's only that we get to a point and we begin thinking we know it all because these are young ones. And we forget that if we reflected back, possibly this is how we would have been behaving. But let's go to this young boy who is thinking about a computer, and the young boy who is thinking about the boxing. You notice that, especially the one who has told, the one who was talking about the friend who was beaten and abused. Yeah. When you tell your child that you're a fool, when you tell your child that you're stupid, it registers. And let me tell you how you drop his self-esteem. If I find that child the other side and is doing something not fine and I call him a fool, it gets stamped in his mind that daddy calls me a fool, this guy calls me a fool, therefore I am a fool. So you've killed his self-esteem. You may never get an opportunity to bring it back. Number two, you've denied him an opportunity to be free, to explore. This is how we kill the purposes for our children. He could be an engineer in how God purposed him to be. And that's why he's even going to computers. I can't remember how many times I was caned because of opening every radio that was brought home. But as far as I remember, up to today, I think it's what makes me keep curious in the things I do. I'm in the IT field. And I like, dealing with screws. Or even identifying where I can find a problem and solve it. So, in ways we speak to our children, sometimes we deny them the opportunities, or we kill the opportunities when they are still young. We need to be very watchful. Yes, the child did wrong. He went to the computer without his permission. And it is possible he can actually spoil it. It is a work computer. It is very important. It is a device that helps him bring in income, that looks after the family. That's very fine. But how do you approach that? That is something you need to agree upon with your child. The beauty is that children are very obedient. Very, very obedient. The problem is we want to fix them. We don't want to help them understand. We want to fix them. And you cannot fix a human being. You can fix a machine, you can fix a metal, but human beings are human beings. At any one time, the mind is engaged. My prayer, my request to the parent is show to the child what has gone wrong. Explain to him the dangers upon that and appreciate his interest in wanting to learn computer. Maybe promise him at some point when he's going to learn, or explain to him. Sometimes we think we should not be explaining to our children our failures, which is also very dangerous.
Yeah.
But it's also possible to say, wait, my son, this is a company computer and I use it to make money that I look after the family. and I don't have money yet, it is okay to tell your child, I am sorry, I don't have money yet to buy you a computer. I can guarantee you, your child will understand that daddy would wish to buy me a computer, but he doesn't have money yet. And at that point, actually, he will choose to pray that at one point you get money to buy him a computer. He will even protect that device, especially when he understands its role in as far as your responsibility as a parent when you're looking after them.
Yeah.
So let's not make mistakes to say, you're stupid, you're foolish, do you know what I'm going through? Of course he doesn't know, you have not told him. And don't claim he's too young. It's okay to tell the child, son, you know what, hold on a bit. Can we talk a bit later? He will respect that. Okay. The mistake we make is to think the children should read our minds as parents and go away. But at that point, what we are doing, we are behaving like animals, or wild animals in this case. Next time he comes, he wants to read you, and he looks at you and says, daddy's state. It gets to the point now when he's supposed to be disclosing some secrets to you, and you could be of help, but he chooses not to because you've never given him an environment that you can even listen to him. So let's be keen about that.
Wow. Wow. You've heard it there. This is the Family Talk Show coming from Sylvain Gumisiriza saying, please listen to your children. We're talking about lessons learned from our children, or lessons being learned by our children from us right now as parents in this lockdown. What lessons are children picking from us right now? Now that they're in a lockdown, what situation are they in at the moment, and what lessons are they picking from us, and how are they going to use it in future? How will you behave before your children in the lockdown is key. This is a Family Talk Show where we discussed everything about family and how we can help our families to be better, and how we can help you share ideas with you, or you can share idea with us on how we can get our families better. We're going to go for a break, and when we come back, the Family Talk Show will continue after the break.
Are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
the Art Center's role is to take part in all of those activities. So we are presenting professional work from artists from all over the world.
You look at the modern times where you look at young people who are trying to copy and trying to be like other people. So that missing link really keeps me going as an artist, and it makes me create.
This is the Family Talk Show. Welcome back. Edio Killer and Sylvain Gumisiriza is on the show. That name is like a French name. It disturbs the tongue. Welcome back to the program, Sylvain.
Thank you.
I want to start by reading some of the comments coming from our viewers out there. And I want to start from one. Tugume Frank says, glad to be on the Family Talk Show. And Frank, thank you very much for being part of the Family Talk Show, Family Growing Big and Better. And I want to encourage everyone out there to share this link far and wide. Please post this link, share it with your friends, with your family. You never know who you're helping along the way on this path of getting our journey together. The Family Talk Show exists to teach us a thing or two about our family, and also to allow us a platform for us to discuss things that happen in our families and how our families are faring and what we need to do going forward. My name is Edio Killer, and of course, Asan Sekajolo is the resident panelist who is still injured but will be back on the show sooner than later. Pastor Joshua Mugabe has been, comforting a family. He's on his way. He's likely to join us on the show and participate in this topic. The topic of discussion on the Family Talk Show today is, what lessons are children learning from their parents right now? They are back home, 1 week into the lockdown. There is a possibility that the lockdown is likely going to be stretched. Last year, we started a lockdown with 14 days. 14 days went to 21 days. 21 days went to 40 days. Before we know it, the whole year was gone. And I think that children are anticipating that these adults are always telling us things like this. There's chances that we are going to stay home. And some children are already smart, asking for other solutions. What lessons do you think your child is learning if you're a father? If you're a mother, what lesson do you think your daughter is learning or your son is learning? Can you share with us? What have you seen that they are picking from you? Are they good lessons or they are bad lessons? Sylvain, welcome back to the show. I want to take you to question number 2. Children are home and they are picking lessons. I told you about my nephew.
Yes.
And I'm going to share with you about my friend's children. My friend's daughter last week was her birthday. Peter Kawujo, Hilary Kawujo is a friend of mine, and his daughter is a very good friend of mine. She turned just 9. You're going to be wondering, okay, so the girl is turning 11 and she's your very good friend. How is that possible? You who is 40, 30 something and she's 11. Yes, I like to connect with children. So I was having a conversation with Victoria, and she said, we are home, I'm preparing. Uncle Eddie, I want to celebrate my birthday. And I want you and Auntie to come and what? So we are talking and sharing. And she says, Uncle Eddie, I feel sad that my friends are not going to enjoy my birthday. So I promised to get the cake. And come Wednesday, Victoria started to call us. Mr. Kawujo had to jump off from his desk at 12 o'clock to run to deliver the cake at home. It was very important to Victoria than anything else that was going on at that moment. You can go back, Daddy, and work, but deliver my cake home so I can have my
cake.
So should Peter not deliver the cake home, or the father not deliver the cake home, she's going to be not trusting the father's words, because the cake was supposed to be delivered the day before, and we had prepared it, but the father was up in the village. So the sacrifice of Mr. Kawujo coming from his village back to Kampala, driving to town to pick this cake to take home, was a huge lesson for me. And the daughter called me with the mother to give me the message. It says, hey guys, wait, I'm still busy because I don't know what they're going to say, but I'm going to get back to them. So what I've realized from that is that children are looking for whatever opportunity they have to take away their worry. And the adults needs to be able to give them that, because if they doubt your words at this point in time, chances are that they're going to pick these lessons and go with it forever in life. The children that grew up through the wartime situation, every time you talk about change management, they don't want any new change to come, because what is in their mind is that there was war when they were growing up, which we didn't see. For us in our generation, is saying, come on man, we need to move from change point A to point B. For them, they don't see the reason, because the lessons they've learned from that war situation was not managed very well, and nobody told them how they're going to get out of it. So coming back to you on this situation of coronavirus, where kids are at home or children at home, what lessons do you think children are picking from their parents?
Very good.
And how can we understand these lessons, and what should we do about them?
Very, very good question. And I think, for me, that's why I began by saying, let the parents be cautious about what they are doing, how they are doing it, where they are doing it from, and how they are speaking to each other. If you're a single parent, you still have to also be cautious on how you're handling your phone calls. It could be work, it could be relationship, it could be anything. And we very well know that children do not stop picking. It's so unfortunate that they can't decide what to drop immediately after they have picked. Sometimes they pick, they go with, and along the way they realize, wait a minute, this was not helpful, and now they drop. But as they are dropping, they still remember whom did they pick it from. And at that point, you're not their friend. You're not the point of reference for support. You're not the point of reference for counseling. So parents need to be very careful. And I remember while young, one of the things that I grew up and I decided not to participate in, I remember telling you this, is to fight. Because I saw fights of the aged. I learned how to abuse, to send those aggressive words when I was so young. But thank God for my mom. She would put me aside and she says, you know what? This is not you. This is not you. I would go to the hills to look after the cows. And the common thing is to shout over our voices, to abuse each other across hills. And I get back home, my mom puts me down and canes me thoroughly. And I'm saying, but mommy, what's the problem here? She says, wait. At that point, you're a herdsman. That's not what herdsmen need to be doing. I'm looking at you as my son. And so at some point, we agreed with mom, no fights. And I'm so grateful that she captured me at that early stage. I don't know whether I would be here. Because who knows when you're fighting, what happens? Yes. You can be harmed instead of you harming. So I'm using that example because you grow up to grasp whatever is around there, because your mind is so open to anything. Filtering out what is most important comes along. And the beauty is that as you grow up, you realize, well, this person was well-intentioned. This person had a problem. This one caused me this. This one I need to unlearn. But then why do we need to put our children in that state at a certain age to begin unlearning a number of things? Yet, we can utilize this moment to give what to learn that they would really not drop. What does that mean? Yes, I'm not married, but that doesn't stop me from talking about this. Husband, be careful how you're speaking to your wife before your children.
That's lesson number one.
That's lesson number one.
The lessons they're learning is how you are speaking
to your wife,
to their mother.
To their mother.
Yes, or to their father.
It matters a lot. It matters. If you're aggressive to your wife and the boys are watching, they just know this is what a man does at such an age.
Or in such a time when we're in the lockdown, When they said we're in the lockdown,
Yes.
so for them that's what they pick.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what it is. If you're a mother who looks at you, a wife who looks at your husband with this kind of eye that has a signal, your daughter is saying, wait, I mean, this is exactly what mothers do. So be watchful what you're demonstrating. If you're so reactionary, even if you are in the bedroom and they can hear the voice, they will know that whenever you get to the room with your husband or with your wife, you can say whatever you want to say, you can shout. I can guarantee you by the way children can get to the point of coming to the doorway and listening properly. And they can tell, even when you come out of that room,
Yeah.
that this conversation was calm, this conversation was hostile. So be keen about what you say before your children. Number two, how you deal, say how you engage them within the activities. You talked about the young girl who was looking for his cake, for her cake rather,
Yes.
and waiting for the parent.
Yeah.
If the father had not sacrificed that time to get off his desk, drive home, deliver the cake, what was going to register in the girl's mind was that men, including my dad, should not be trusted.
In fact, she said, us guys are always talking, so she needed to know whether it is the father who is the problem or I'm the one who is the problem, who is not making the decision to come and
Exactly, exactly.
Yes.
And that puts this young girl in a very compromising situation, very tricky situation growing up. She had better not trust any other man apart from her father. But if she does not trust men because of her father, that is very, very difficult to uproot at some point. And leave alone relationships going forward to say, having families. Even in work situations, anything small that happens between her and a colleague and is a man, she say, like my dad, this is how men behave. We tend to want to take it so much about relationships. Yes, it is important, but even in regular lifestyles, it is extremely, extremely important. So thank God for your friend. He took the responsibility, left whatever he was doing, and delivered the cake. It must have registered. 2, if he has a son, he must have seen that, oh, this is very important for you to do. When you say, then do as a man. I have friends, lady friends, who, when we're having conversation, they'll tell you they don't trust men. And some of them have these reasons because they saw it home. Incidentally, it's not because of the experience they have had as maybe relating with men have not been faithful to them. No, right from home. Say, I have seen how my dad has been. I don't think men are. And whose responsibility now is that? It's the mother's responsibility to explain to her daughter the situation, but also pray with her, because they end up making extreme decisions where you find she will choose to either have a child without a father, because after all, living with men is that tiresome. Or they end up saying, let me have fun. I'm not interested at all in having a family. But remember, they also have friends. And so they connect with our friends whom we are either relating with or we are married to. In case of a situation that is not so clear between you and your wife, and she's speaking to somebody who is not married, somebody who has got that experience, somehow we don't even know how to give guidance, somehow we don't even know how to listen to people who are going through tough times. We usually want to fix situations, and what normally comes out is, that's why I didn't get married.
Wow.
So be watchful. Be watchful. So in my view,
Yes.
father, mother, be careful when you're communicating. It doesn't mean that the Uganda calls bunkenke. No. But be keen, be intentional in these conversations. And if they have not been going really well, it is time to learn. You have about now 38 or 37 days remaining to go, at least when your children are there, readjust. And men, don't be fixed. Don't say, this is me. The thing is that no man is an island. The beauty is that. And even an island lives in the middle of water. So what surrounds you is going to determine how you're going to behave. So for men, let's not be this rigid. This is how I do things. This is how things must be. Remember that whatever you do in the public is going to come out, rather whatever you do in the private is going to come out in the public.
Yeah.
Every other behavior you're expressing now is going to result into either having a child that embraces you as a father, celebrates you because you raised him up well. You make mistakes now. At some point, he's struggling with his family. He'll be saying, my dad was like that, or I'm also really struggling because after all, I did not have a very good foundation.
Yeah.
It is the responsibility of every one of us. I have to keep reminding us that the children are watching, and you're not going to stop them that. Be grateful. That is a human sense. That's biological. If they were not watching and not listening, you would be saying, I gave birth to a deaf or a blind child. Thank God your child is not blind, is not deaf, and has got senses. Be careful what you're feeding him, what you're feeding her.
Wow, thank you so much, Sylvain, for that very interesting lesson we have picked from you. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, Pastor Joshua Martin Mugabe is online and is going to be joining us to give us his points, sharing with us lessons children are picking from parents right now that is going to determine who they will be in life, how they are going to behave in life when they grow up in these 42 days of lockdown in Uganda specifically, but also world over. Children have spent a lot more time home and in the lockdown than parents, and they have seen the actions of parents when they are agitated, what they say. Like Sylvain says, be very careful. You might be arguing in the bedroom, slapping your wife or slapping your husband and saying all sort of things. The children are on the door. What is going on with daddy and mommy? And so you walk out of that place thinking that you are so smart, they don't know what is going on. They have learned so much from you in that context, and they will do exactly the same thing you are doing when they become adults. Stay right there, I'll be right back after the break. This is the Family Talk Show. Edio Killer, Sylvain Gomisiriza in the studio. Social distancing at the highest point of life. No coronavirus. All right, tell Edgar to organize Pastor, but he needs
people at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials.
Yeah.
And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand.
Yes.
Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
Welcome back from that break. My name is Eddie Okela, and in the studio is Sylvain Gumisiriza. Of course, joining us from the comfort of his car or the sitting room is Pastor Joshua Martin Mugabe, and this is the Family Talk Show. Today on the Family Talk Show, we are discussing the topic of lessons learned from fathers, but particularly on this show, we're talking about lessons being learned by children, or lessons being picked by children in these 42 days of lockdown or in this coronavirus situation all across the world. But particularly in Uganda, we are in the lockdown, 42 days of lockdown announced by the President of the Republic of Uganda on the advice of the technical people, handling coronavirus situation in the country. Of course, coronavirus is real. We don't know so much about it, but we know it's real. We know people are dying. We don't know what extent is happening. So it's okay for you to protect yourself and be wise. And the Bible says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, you will perish. If you don't seek knowledge, you will perish. So the knowledge we're giving here on the Family Talk Show is how to protect your children from perishing when the coronavirus situation is over. Ladies and gentlemen, all across the world, welcome to the show. Share it far and wide. Family Talk Show is here for you to discuss the problem of your family. And of course, share with us, what lessons do you think your children are picking from the lockdown?
Very interesting. But the children are very, very creative. And you notice that if we choose to listen to them, there are lots of things we can learn. Because you bear me witness, the days of your dad were not your days. And the days of your children are not going to be your days. The only challenge is when we think we are elders and we think life is conventional. It's always going to be from step A to step B to step C. And this is how we're supposed to be behaving. But if we choose to be keen, we can learn from our children. Number one, children are good at board games. For those of you at home, you give him a board game, give him the menu or the kind of instructions. Before you know it, he's playing. And I think this is the moment when parents need to interact with children in terms of, and there's a lot that is shared when you're playing games with your children. Could be Scrabble, could be chess, could be many games, many board games, but not only board games. For those ones who have got compounds, it's a time for them to probably buy badminton and play together. There's something interesting about this young boy, this young girl, when he or she finds that he has got the capacity to win a big person. I remember growing up, I used to play cards with my dad. And when I don't know whether he would deliberately allow me to win him or I would actually win him. But in moments I would win, I would be very excited. I was able to win, and I would sometimes remind him of that. Then it would create this environment where he can say, hey, wait a minute, can we? And I find it so easy because I've been near him and we've played cards together, so I can easily really listen to him. By the way, my situation with him changed a little bit later, but in early childhood, it was fun. So have fun with your children. And when they also want to see how you behave when you lose a game. Do you get annoyed? You know? And in its sense, it sounds as though it's to the very serious parents sounds so stupid. But let me tell you, you have no idea how much you're cementing or you're strengthening that bond between you and your child. So be free to play with them. Allow them to ask you questions. Some of these questions are going to be weird questions. And don't claim you know it all. As in, surely, be humble enough to say, no, son, that one, I'm going to find out. I'm going to find out. Because they know you're a human being. There's no way you're going to claim you're superhuman. Especially the 9, 8, 10, 12. Yeah. Very, very, very sensitive. For them, when you lie, they can know that Dad has lied to me, but I don't have to tell him he has lied to me. But do you know what it means when a child keeps quiet about something he knows that you've not told him the truth? That is, you've lost his respect, and you will never know that you've lost his respect. So allow your children to ask you questions, and be free to let them know that some of these things you do not know. Research together on things which are researchable, or ask somebody together. The child will get to know, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I appreciate my dad understands that there are things he also doesn't know. So don't be the know-it. Don't be the know-it-all. And like we had said at the beginning, listen to them. Be attentive to them. Sometimes they just want to tell you their stories, and they don't want you to make a comment. Daddy, you know, this and this and this and this happened. This is what I did. This is what my friend did. Just listen to him. If he does not say, what should I have done? Leave him. But the thing is, give him the courage to continue telling you the story because he feels you need to know the story. Yeah. If you claim you don't have time to listen to that story and you prepare another time and that time doesn't come, you prepare another time, that time doesn't come, you might never find any more time.
With your son.
With your son.
Or with your daughter. And
growing up, at some point when you now think you have time, you want to listen to your son, he also doesn't have time.
For you.
So be careful. It is what you build right now that brings about the responsibility of this young boy, this young girl, at some point in your old age, when he feels, I need to go home and listen to my dad, I need to go home and listen to my mom, because he or she listened to me then.
Okay. The pastor is saying that 3 lessons that we need to teach our children, or we need to learn from our children. 1, life calls for adjustments. And number 2, begins with, life begins with what you have. Begin with what you have with your children. And number 3, your results will open the door for more to happen. 3 lessons that we have to teach our children in the lockdown, and 3 lessons that we as adults need to pick from there on this family talk show program that we're discussing today. Number 1, life calls for adjustments. Many of us are stressed because we have gone into the lockdown. The situation, embera, as we call it in Uganda, is not okay. All right? And if that embera is not okay, situation is not okay, life is not okay, don't push it to the children. Adjust so that you can be with your children, but don't say, you guys are pushing me, you don't know what I'm going through to put food on the table for you, you are never going to help me. I know some parents who will assure their children who are just 5 years old as if they wrote a letter to say, let me be born and you become my father and my mother. No, they have no idea what happened. So please, life calls for adjustment. Number 2, Pastor Joshua Martin Mugabe is saying, please begin with what you have, parents. Start with what you have and build on from there. And he's saying your children may not understand you at some point, but if you open up the doors, if you begin with what you have, it will open up the results of your actions to your children will open up the door for your children to be part of that. Number 3, he said lessons from our children. Lessons from our children. Number 1, be passionate about today. Don't show them that because we're in a coronavirus situation, Sylvain, things are bad. Some parents says, things are bad, you know, we can't drink milk, we can't find biscuits, we can't even do anything, we can't even walk to the grass paspalam. Children don't want to hear that. He's saying that lessons to learn from children today, they still play, even when they're stressed. They still find time to enjoy their life. Sometimes they even forget about we're in a corona situation. For you, slapping them says, you're foolish, you don't understand that you're going to get coronavirus. But for them, they don't understand that. Very true. So that's a lesson from children, that when we're mentally becoming disturbed, when we're mentally stressed, we need to learn that from our children. So lesson from our children: 1, be passionate about today. Number 2, take more risk instead of being fearful. That is coming from Pastor Joshua Martin Mugabe. Parents, take more risk. Learn from your children and take more risk. They say, wash your hand here, go this, go this. They will go and do the exact opposite. And you will cane them, tomorrow they'll do the same opposite. But in the process, they learn a lot of things. So please, don't be so fearful, because now when you become so fearful, you are instilling a different thing altogether to your children. You are making them get messed up. Number 3 says, take more. Number 3 on that line, it says, lessons from our children. It says, they prefer solutions to analysis. Don't give them too many analysis of whatever is going on. You analyze everything they are doing. You say everything they are doing. Sylvain,
unless they ask you.
Yes.
Unless they ask you.
Yes. But some parents are always analyzing things. Children are saying, Daddy, I need a solution. If there's a problem like this, we are not going to school. So what is our solution to not going to school? What can we do? Can we sit down? Can we do a lesson at home? Some parents don't get. So please, parents, on the Family Talk Show, we're saying, please, children prefer solution to analysis. And
let's look at this one as a normal situation and adjust, like he mentioned, because the beauty is, the Bible says there's time for everything.
Yeah.
This is time for the partial lockdown. There's going to be time for the release of the lockdown.
Yeah.
We had it the other time. We didn't know how long it was going to take. At some point, it came through. Children went to school, but so sorry, they didn't stay long. Now they are back. But it's also important to know that it's also going to end. So let's not be on tension. Oh my God, oh my God. You know, 75% of our sickness is psychological.
Absolutely, in this coronavirus situation.
So let's not be on tension. Let's know that it's going to end. But while we are in this environment, let's find out the means of creatively and innovatively utilizing the time. Especially parents and children, utilizing the time. It is a precious moment for you to be with your child for all this long, morning to evening, night, morning to evening. Arrange, make some good arrangements with your child. Pray with your child and guide him, walk with him the journey, listen to him as he also, listens to you. Teach him how to listen, teach him a number of things and allow to learn from him. But do lots of things together. In other words, the word is collaboration. Collaborate. Work with your family. If you've had to leave the physical office to work from home, make an arrangement that your children will understand. This time is time for office. Daddy and mommy are busy. but this other time is our time. Because I've seen it in lockdown, having left office and then you go to work from home, you almost find you have no time to retire. And so 6 to 10 is office work, yet you are at home.
Yeah.
Please observe that the children will always want their time. They can be in position to give you your time, but when office time is over, they really want to see you. That other moment when you are going to pick them from school, now you're home, you don't have to pick them, begin playing. Begin doing what you've been doing at home. And encourage your children that it is going to end, life is going to get back to normal. Don't be the superhero. Don't bring your frustrations onto your children. They don't want to be part of that. They still want to look at you as a loving father. They still want to look at you as a loving parent. And explain to them that time is passing. These things are going to end. Life is going to be back to normal. Let them grow admiring the kind of parenting that you've given them. And they're looking forward to being good parents not the other way around. I don't want to be like. But let them grow up thinking, when I grow up as a man, when married, I want to be like my dad. I want to treat my wife like my dad does. You know, the girl is saying, I want to treat my husband like my mom does, because the children can feel the love between the two of you. You don't have to tell them that we love each other. You can demonstrate and they get to know this home is full of love.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sylvain, and thank you so much, everybody, for coming to the Family Talk Show today, and of course for watching the Family Talk Show and for sharing. Go ahead and share this video far and wide. The program is online. Please make sure it reaches out to as many people as possible, and subscribe to our channel so that you can be alerted every time the Family Talk Show is coming live. The Family Talk Show is live on Sundays, and it will always be repeated throughout the week, so that you can catch it at whatever time. And please make sure you are a part of the family discussion growing bigger and better. From us here, we want to say thank you so much, everybody. And of course, we are saying explain everything, father, mother, to your children. Explain, explain, explain. Make your son or your daughter understand that this is not possible and this is possible. Make your nephew or your nieces understand. I always tell them whenever they ask me for something, I always tell them, look, I have heard your request. Write to me, put your request. But make sure your request is smart and is affordable and we can get it. But also, it is important, not urgent. That is how I address it with them. It is important but not urgent. So we're not going to put everything down to look for this when it is not urgent and important. So that's how I do. And so we want to say thank you very much. Sylvain, thank you very much for coming. And to everybody else, we're saying good night, good morning, good evening, depending on which part of the world where you are. The Family Talk Show has come to an end. Until next week, God bless.
coffee industry is very wide, it's very big, it's very full of opportunities. Don't sit there and say, I have nothing to do. You can join the industry. You can get whatever you want. If you give it time, invest in it. By giving it time, don't look for money, don't look for big salary at first. First learn. After learning, you'll get how much amount you need. Yeah. In coffee industry, there's no like, barista should get this amount of money. No, it depends on your knowledge. Yeah. What you know is what you get. You cannot be like having junior experience and asking for experienced one. No. You can join now. Good thing, everything is simple. Yeah. It's easy. Don't sit there and say, oh no, I'm scared to join this. No, it's very simple. You can make. Yeah, it's very simple. It's not so difficult. Simple, very simple, very enjoyable. You can do everything when you're enjoying. You can do your coffee. You can serve your customers. Coffee create friendship. Yeah. Coffee gives you a job. Even if you are not working in a cafe, maybe you can go in different field, but still in coffee industry. Yeah. Yes.
Let's put up the camera.
It is House of Talent Television Uganda, and we're broadcasting live and direct on our studios here on Mukoto Street. Welcome to the show. This is the Coffee Break Show with me, Amoni Mukisa. And today's show is going to be amazing. We have one of the world, world guys, best guys, I can't say, but living down here in Uganda is a barista champion, and we're going to be delving through his story and get to know him better. How is the experience of being a world, I can't say a world barista because he's been a barista, a champion barista for quite a while. But before that, welcome to the show. And as I said, my name is Amoni Mukisa. This is the Coffee Break Show. What you need to do is get a cup of coffee and get your tablet, your monitor, your phone, I don't know if Katochi, those phones have been put to that standard of where you can connect to the internet. But if it is true, you can also get over there and watch us via Facebook as House of Talent Uganda, YouTube House of Talent Uganda, and Twitter HTV1UG. You can follow us on all those platforms, and you'll be streaming live and direct with us here in our studios on Mukoto Street. Well, Michael, here we are.
I'm here, brother. How are you?
People have been requesting for you on the show, eh?
I'm right here.
You're right here.
Yeah.
How have you been?
I've been fine.
How is the new year treating you? Okay, we're 3 weeks so far in the new year. So, how is it treating you?
I think so far so good. Like, just started on well. We are seeing on how it is going to go all the way, but so far so good.
Money is where?
Money, we can't say now. Let's wait for December.
You're not chilling with the big boys like most people are saying these days. Eh?
Chilling with the big boys. We are trying to chill around slowly.
But no worries, on the Coffee Break Show. So you're going to be chilling with the big boys now.
Definitely.
Well, Michael is...